and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.
call the meeting to order of the December 20th, 2023 meeting of the Exeter Water and Sewer Advisory Committee. With us this evening, I'm Bob Kelly, the chairman of the committee, and with us are Carl Wickstrom and Molly Cohen, the select board representative, which constitutes a quorum of the committee, so we will get right into business, that being water and sewer abatement requests. And Laura, can you hear me? Laura?
She's muted. Laura, you're muted. There you go.
Hi there.
Hi, how you doing? So,
I can. I just saw the button.
not a problem. Yeah, so we'll, since you're in on Zoom, we'll take your request first. We have 5 abatement requests, but we'll take yours first.
Okay.
So, just the information we have is that you had a leak from your water tank in your basement, and you didn't notice it, and then when you did, you shut the boiler off, replaced the tank, but you lost a fair amount of water, it looks like, in 3 weeks.
Yes, it was 20,000 gallons of steam pouring out of the top of the water tank. And we realized it before the water department let us know on their, I think, not yearly, but quarterly, saying, wow, what's going on at your house? You went through 20,000 gallons and you usually go through about 2,000, 2,500 a month. And
Right.
because my husband and I he just had a knee replacement, and I had broken my pelvis, but we don't often go down to the basement that often. So it all came out in steam within 3 weeks.
Right.
I have a quick question. That is, the steam that came out, it condensed, and where did it end up? And the cleanup?
Downstairs in the basement.
Pardon?
Downstairs in the basement.
Okay, and when it was cleaned up, where did the water go? Did it go down the sewer? Did it go outside? Did it go to the cleanup crew?
There was no water down there. It was steam.
Okay.
So it went into the walls. We had
Oh, okay. So it got absorbed
It just
into the house.
Condensate.
absorbed.
Absorbed.
Yeah.
So it didn't go down the sewer. That was my biggest question. Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay. So our standard in this kind of case was we would abate the full sewer
The full sewer.
and partial water, so it'd be.
I think 80% in this case, because she was disabled, sort of.
Right.
But I'll make a motion that we abate the full recommended sewer and 80% of the excess water for, in this case, for
I will second that.
3 Smith Avenue.
So Laura, our standard, as you may know from discussing with the water department, we typically do not, anything that happens inside of the water meter is typically the ratepayer's responsibility. However, for the past several years, we've had a greater acknowledgement that there are, accidents happen beyond anybody's control. In this case, since it was an accident and it's not in an area of your house that would typically be frequented, we're moving that we would abate 80% of the excess water usage. So we don't abate the full amount, we just abate the excess amount than what you would normally use. And then since the water did not go into the sewer, which is normally what would happen if you were taking a shower or a toilet running or something like that. Since you did not use the sewer services, we were making a motion to abate 100% of the excess sewer usage. You know, just so that
Okay.
you're aware of what our recommendation is.
Yes.
Is there any
This
further?
is my first Zoom call. so
Okay.
I don't really know what to do, so I'm just.
Well, you're fine.
Like,
I mean, we don't have your video, but we're in a room that we
Yes,
normally
yes,
don't
no.
meet in, so yeah, you're fine. We can hear you and all of that. So we're
Okay.
fine.
I did the math, the total amount's $452.90.
Yeah, so if we take 80% of the water and 100% of the sewer, the excess usage of those two items amounted to $452.90. Any further discussion by the committee? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
I,
Opposed? So you'll be getting a contact from the water department for an abatement of $452.90.
Okay, thank you very much for your time.
You bet, Laura.
What you do for Exeter. I've been an Exeter resident for 50 years. So
Excellent.
thank you very much.
Our
Thank
pleasure.
you, Laura.
Thank
Happy
you.
holidays.
Okay, appreciate it. Happy holidays.
Okay, Dave.
You're up.
You want me to stand?
No, I mean, you can
If you
sit there
come-
or sit over
Yeah.
here just so it's a little bit more, friendly.
John's my phone.
Yeah. I know, feel free to get rid of my purse. Just
You want me to stand or sit?
sitting is
Matter.
fine.
Just to refresh your memory, if you don't remember, I think I met probably at your last one. I don't think I
Yes.
missed one since
September.
then.
Yep.
And it had to do with, I had put up a pool last summer and so on, and I didn't have enough information. I hope you got what you were looking for.
We did.
Basically 17,000 gallons-ish are going in the pool, staying in the pool, never to see a sewer, and I'm looking for an abatement on that. I pulled up, just Googled a couple things, like North Conway has stuff for pool, koi ponds, backyard beaches, and then Rochester has one for filling a pool and so on. So, basically what I was just looking for is that 17,000 gallons that's going in the pool, and I did it over, I don't know if you saw that additional information, it was like over 3 or 4 days, just because I'd never done it before.
Right.
I had a
Yeah, our
little
only problem
stretch.
last time was that you had written with the information, but there was no actual request for an abatement, so.
Yeah.
And that's fine. So we just had to go through the
Yeah,
process.
yeah. So that's really,
You don't-
I don't have any,
Oh, you don't
I
have
don't
a,
know if maybe that would do something there. Yeah.
oh,
there is. Okay, so so Jason's next, so maybe just mute.
well, I think this is muting us.
Oh.
We don't want to do that. Okay, great.
Jason, could you do me a favor and just, if you could stand by for 1 minute? And maybe just mute yourself in case there's someone else in the room. We'll be with you in, a couple minutes. We're just reviewing another abatement right now. Thank you. Yeah, and I don't know, I think reading the information correctly, it appears that the department did tell you that there is currently no provision in our policy that a pool filling does not constitute an abatement request, unless you have a secondary meter that would be dedicated just for the pool, and then we would abate the sewer usage on that meter.
right, and I thought it's not on the books, but it didn't disqualify me from asking for an abatement, just like.
Absolutely, nothing does. You can
Yeah,
always
just
ask.
like-
Always ask.
Just like
can always
anything
do.
else, and then I would just plead my case to you, the committee, that, it's a whole bunch of water, it's $300 I'm guessing, that I am, in any other circumstance, you're paying for a service.
Yep.
And none of us would want to do this, pay for a service that was never provided to you. And
Right.
so you're making me pay for something that was never provided.
well,
I
I,
mean, personally, it's like all the other towns know it's wrong to be charging for pool fill that's never gonna see a sewer, and
however,
so you don't have it.
policy, unless it's an accident or a leak outside of your control, that we don't generally give abatements. This is something that was in your control, and you decided to fill your pool. And we generally don't give abatements for that. Now
And
you can do it.
Exactly. And the second part of that is that we do allow that if you put in a separate meter for the pool, then we will abate the sewer usage.
Yeah, but
for
then I thought one of you folks or somebody told me like for me to go get this separate meter was like $300 or something like that.
It's gonna
I
be.
mean, it makes absolutely it makes no sense to me not to have this in the bylaws of the town
The
or
problem
however
is
you guys do it.
we
You,
have-
you don't.
Well, we have
You don't.
36.
So basically, if, to me, is if a guy comes in here, a guy or gal, and says, hey, guys, you don't have anything, whatever, you're charging me for something that didn't take place and it will never take place, and you go,
That's
that's
not
the way it
true.
is.
What we're charging you for is the ability to tie into our utility. That's what we're charging.
And
you
I pay
for.
that, I
And-
pay, I
and
pay,
so
I
what,
pay
we
all
don't have
my
the ability,
bills.
we don't have the staff to check all of the 3,700 connections in town. So what we have to do is make some generalizations.
What you
And we
did,
assume- we
excuse
assume
me
that
for
you're-
cutting you off, you asked me for information that shows you that I went through like 21,000 gallons of water over that bill, and specifically, I think I provided you
Yeah.
documentation that can show you, I did it over 3 days. I didn't have a leak, we know what I think we've established, we know what I did. There is nothing on the Exeter books, doesn't mean that that is right. It means actually,
Well-
in my opinion, it means that anybody who did what I did, which I'm gonna assume has happened before, you're charging them for
Right.
no service.
So a couple of things. One is I personally am inclined, and I will make a motion. I have no problem abating the sewer portion of this.
No,
use.
and that's what I'm asking.
However, what I would suggest is you only get one abatement request in 10 years.
I will never do the.
Well, I'm just saying that
Any abatement.
any abatement, so that if you
High grades.
use this on the pool, just, hear me out. My recommendation would be to go get a second meter. This year happened. I would recommend getting that second meter, and then you could get an abatement for the sewer use for your pool field going forward. And then that way you would still have your abatement in your back pocket. Or, the abatement request, 100% of the sewer for this bill would be $251.33. I mean, it's a decent amount of money, but it's not outrageous if,
So if this was on the books, so to speak, if this was a bylaw, or however you guys refer to it, then we wouldn't even be having this conversation. So I would
No,
still have.
if you had your
I
meter-
would still have my little.
if you had a deduct, what we call a deduct meter, and you would just get charged for the water, and it's acknowledged in your application that it's for filling your pool, then you would not get charged for the sewer portion for that going forward.
Right.
And people have done that, businesses have done it for their HVAC, and we've started to do that more and more. Not everybody knows about it. It's not
Yeah, it
something-
makes sense to me for businesses, for somebody running a nursery and does watering and so on, but just the schmo doing a.
So I'm just
pool
asking,
fill.
that was one of the reasons why we tabled it, because we wanted to make sure that you were aware that this was a once in 10-year request. If you're still good with that,
Yeah.
I will make a motion.
I'm fine with that, I don't
Okay.
think I'll.
I
request another
would
abatement.
make a motion to abate the sewer, but I would also recommend that you get that deduct meter, because this same thing is gonna happen next year. You're gonna fill it. You're gonna
No, it never gets, that's the. thing
Okay,
with
so
the
you
pool.
keep it full.
Yeah, I drop it
So
down
this is
just a
the
little
first
bit.
time, got it.
Yeah, this is just a new pool, and I
Fair
shouldn't
enough.
need a liner for another 20 or 30 years, which would be
Got it.
the next time.
So that's my motion, to abate 100% of the sewer, and that's it.
Thank you.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? or
Well, I don't like
comments?
the fact that we're setting a precedent here and that we're going against the policy.
We are.
Of what has been established. as the established policy. And generally, when it's not an accident, you do something
I agree.
purposefully, you don't get an abatement. for
What
it.
what
It's just-
swayed me upon rereading this after we tabled it last time is that I remember in the notes that this is a one-time fill, so that it's not going to be a situation every year.
Well, that assumes that
where-
his
whereas a lot of
liner-
people
his
do.
liner doesn't leak, believe me.
Well,
I've
if
had
it leaks,
pools
then
that
it's on
have
him.
leaked,
It's on
and
him.
it's
I was
gonna
saying,
happen
I can
again.
leave you, they
I
got
mean-
a town to actually have it.
Well, I believe
The-
that's their policy, it's not.
And it should be Exeter's policy, sir.
What?
That may
With all
be.
due respect,
We don't write the
I would be
policy.
Exeter's
We
We
do
don't
policy.
not
write the
write the
policy.
policy here.
But I do think, I mean, I think that your point
Enforce it.
is fair. It's just, this is not the place to argue it. Like, we should have a discussion at the select board about this.
Correct.
Write
Yeah,
a letter.
We don't
to the
have the
select board.
authority to go
and
against the
request a
policies
change.
that's been approved by the select board. That's why I'm against it.
And I agree that there is a precedent. However, we have sort of changed our interpretation of the policy over the past few years anyway,
Well, right,
by
but-
by granting abatements
that's true,
at all.
but they're usually in unusual
Well,
situations, not something that was.
Prior
deliberately done.
to 2020,
Even more recent.
we did not give abatements for
No.
anything,
Anything past them.
which is not necessarily,
No, that's
like
not
you
fair.
say, it's not right. Maybe it's not even fair, but that's the way it was.
So who do I send a request to make a change to incorporate the filling of a pool? I could, like, I think last time we talked, I don't care about, a topping off in the spring after I've let it down a little bit. I don't care, I can't even imagine
I
people
understand.
coming in, I can't imagine people coming, I watered my lawn, I started a big garden, that would drive everybody nuts.
Right.
I get it. Something like this is so
It's a one-time.
not a normal everyday thing.
Right.
Which
Which is why I would recommend writing a letter. Write a letter
And who would I
say the
write it
town
to?
manager,
Yeah.
To the town manager.
to Russ
Okay.
Dean, and
Yeah.
just say, you came before the board, this is what you want, and
Yeah. Yeah, and I'll quote somebody.
and make your-
Well, right,
make your
and
pitch.
here's,
Yeah,
here's my
here's,
research, here's
yeah.
what other towns do, and then we can take it up and we can,
Yeah.
have the discussion at the place. where we
I
can-
looked actually for some town close, Hampton,
Yeah.
and then I didn't realize Hampton, the sewer stuff is all part of their taxes. They don't even, and then I saw what taxes over there are $16 a thousand instead of only $6, and I said,
Well, they have the beach.
yeah.
They don't,
They
they
got a lot
don't, they
higher.
have a lot,
Starting a lot.
they have a lot.
I saw.
What?
So anyway, that's what they didn't even have anything.
When
that I
people,
could
when people
piggyback on.
move to the seacoast, they're generally hoping to move to Exeter. or
No, but
Portsmouth.
that's why I
Not
went- I
Hampton.
found North Conway and a couple others, because Hampton doesn't even
Well,
apply.
the bottom line is, somebody has to pay for the water, so if
But like I said,
it's not
I
paid
am,
for one way,
I know, I
it gets
understood
paid
your
for.
point, but I am getting charged, I
You're
pay that service,
You're
like we
absolutely
all
right.
do every month,
Right.
I just took a few more.
so going
gallons.
going forward, if you would like to not get charged for sewer, then you would need that second meter. And everybody
Yeah.
seems to be
No, I
pretty comfortable.
understand that, I'll write something to it.
Well, so it's been moved, and seconded to approve 100% sewer, abatement only for $251.33. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
No,
Motion passes, and the Public Works will be in touch with you with a $251.33 abatement. But again, I would recommend potentially, since you do have a pool and accidents happen, that it might be worth looking into a DW
Okay.
for the long term.
All right, thank you for your time.
You bet.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays.
Thanks for coming. and nothing personal.
Trying to enforce it.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so we'll jump down to 27 Water Street. This is, Jason McComb. Yep, how you doing? We can, yes, thank you.
At some point in the third quarter, I had received a letter from the water department indicating that I may have a leak, in the building. And at that point, I thought maybe, the water, boiler in the basement, because we did have that replaced, but I did call the water department to kind of get some more information. And, I can't recall who I spoke to, she was a lovely person, but she seemed to think that it was a leak So upon inspecting the toilet, it was consistently running and it did use up quite a bit of water. I immediately shut it down, and it was a fairly old toilet, so we weren't able to get new parts for it, so I just had it completely replaced. I have the invoice from the plumbing department, from the plumber, if you need to see that. But I guess I'm just hoping for some forgiveness on this.
Sure. Was the toilet part of a rental space or part of the chocolatier space?
It was part of the chocolatier, and it's not a toilet that I normally frequent. I work upstairs in the kitchen. The young women downstairs typically use that, and they just, maybe they didn't have the knowledge or know about, so just plumbing, that it really shouldn't keep running like
Sure.
that. So the
And that's
first time I was kind of informed was basically from your letter.
okay.
I have a quick question. In your write-up here, you mentioned something about a hose being displaced. That sounds different from what you just said about the plumber fixing the toilet. Did you say?
The old toilet, the hose popped out. It's internal. It's in the tank itself.
Okay.
So it dislodged itself out of. I don't even know what it is. I don't know the mechanics of the actual toilet, but it popped out where it just consistently ran, and it didn't shut off.
Okay, so you tried to move a hose and that didn't work, and so you called a plumber, or the plumber did this?
I didn't touch it.
Oh, okay. I missed it.
It dislodged itself.
Okay.
But it says in the write-up that you fixed it versus calling in a plumber, and now you're showing us an input. I mean, it doesn't really matter. The fact that you got it fixed is what matters.
I fixed it, but then I also called the plumber.
Oh, okay.
And he recommended, I basically I fixed it to stop it from happening.
Okay.
And then I called the plumber in to get new parts, and he just is like, this toilet's too old, you won't find parts for it. So we replaced the whole toilet.
Okay. And the hose, when it was running down into the sewer, down into the toilet bowl itself, or?
It was running into the bowl itself.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thanks.
Any discussion?
Another question. It seems like it took a while to get fixed. Did you try it for? I mean, it looks like it was over it affected 2 months usage.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't recall ever. I don't know when that letter went out that you guys had sent. I was absent a little bit from the chocolatier to
Okay.
care for my elderly father for a
Okay.
little while.
So you didn't know about the problem for a while, and then you fixed it when what you
Yeah.
knew about it. I got it now. Okay, I understand, and I can understand why you didn't. It was
And
like
the
a lady's
people who
bathroom
were
or
on the
whatever.
ground weren't necessarily aware that there was a problem.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
Okay. So, I mean, I would say it's sort of like in between
Yeah.
50% and 80%. I would, I mean, to the extent that the owner was not
Yeah.
available to see the problem, I would sort of opt towards the 80%
Yeah.
excess water and sewer.
It wasn't a matter of negligence on purpose.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and I'd say both water and sewer.
Does that sound reasonable, Molly?
It does.
I would make that motion to approve an 80% abatement of excess water and sewer over the standard or the average bill over the last 4 quarters.
I second.
So water would be $206.21.
$297.43.
Oh, I'm sorry.
If you're doing the 80.
Yeah, I am doing it. Yeah, my bad.
Okay.
My notes were
Now I'm just gonna
More-
add them
more
together.
draconian
I've got
to
the
begin with.
calculator up, so.
521.14.
And it comes to a total of 818.57.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. So you will be getting a notice from the department for an abatement of $818.57, which will be an 80% abatement of the excess water and sewer that was used due to that leak.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
All right.
Now, where I've already gone ahead and paid that bill, is that just becoming?
It'll become a credit on future bills as long as that takes. All right.
Well, thank you very much.
You bet. Take care. Okay, let's see anybody else on Zoom. So we'll go to 13 Little Pine.
Okay.
Which, I mean, this seems like sort of a standard, toilet that's been leaking for quite some time. I don't like the fact that they got a really high bill and then it sort of lingered into the next quarter and there was still a high bill. So, without delving too much into the timing, my inclination would be just to abate, a portion of one of those bills, again, sort of in a meeting halfway responsibility type of thing. But certainly willing to listen to opposing views.
Look at the usage. It was high usage. If I'm looking at this correctly, but it's all highlighted in yellow, I presume.
Yeah.
That's when there was high usage. It started in May, went through to November of 2022, then started again in August of this year, but it was lower in between.
Right.
How does that happen?
So I don't know if the toilet sort of, if again, it was a leaking toilet,
Is this
maybe.
the one that said it had an offset? Maybe I heard that wrong. I don't know. One of them said it had a deduct meter somewhere, and I never saw that in the bill anywhere, so I'm just curious. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it says here he got
Well,
it
he's
fixed.
got double water meter fee, so he's got to have a deduct somewhere.
Yeah. But he didn't get it fixed until August of this year. And there was high usage at the end of last year.
And it looks like they had a meter change out or something in between, and that's maybe why there's this gap. I don't know, because there's zeros in here.
Right.
That can't really tell. Yeah, I mean, it's like it went on for almost, over a full year.
Right.
Almost. Some of it was just not metered. That's, that's what it looks like.
It looks like the usage was fairly stable in the beginning of 23.
Yeah.
There was a peak in August of 22.
Yeah.
And then evidently there was high usage again in the middle of August. So of this year.
Yeah.
So I'm not exactly sure what, I'm not necessarily inclined to defer this and get more information.
No.
And my feeling would be more just, give them abatement on a 50% abatement of water and sewer on the February 23rd bill.
Most recent.
And
that's the higher one too, so
well,
should be happy to pick that.
Is that?
That's fine. That's
I know, this is when I wish people would show up and.
Right, and so it's
And
what
there's
the
a
hell
budget.
what are you
you-
doing for a whole
Right.
9, 10, or
Because
12
like
months?
maybe it was something and we would be inclined, but
Right.
right, I agree. I think it's hard to, it's hard to make that call when nobody's here.
That'd be 173.01 on the water and 302.98 on the sewer.
Yes. I will make that motion.
So that's $475.99. I would second the motion to make that.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Vote. So vote. So what was that number again? 475.
475.99.
Cool.
Just a penny short of 476.
Okay, and we'll go on to 5 Chestnut Street.
This is one I wish he was here for sure,
Right.
because doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it looks like he tried to fix
Tried
it,
to
and
fix
the
it,
part
but
was defective. I'm
yeah.
not sure what that means.
Apparently,
And then
he called a plumber.
And then a plumber came in and replaced it.
But there was a lot of time that took place in between there. A lot of water went away.
Right. A lot.
A lot of water. And he fixed it, but he didn't check to see that it was fixed. And let it run again until he got another big bill.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what bothers me
Yeah.
is because that does sort of borderline on negligence. Like,
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like, it doesn't say that it's a rental property, anything like that. It's a property that is a primary residence, apparently. So that seems like, if I
It
got a
says
bill.
it's multi-unit, so it's got to be an apartment building of some kind. Maybe a duplex, maybe a quadplex. I don't know, but it does say it's multi-unit on the application. So that's one reason it's.
Well, I would not mind deferring this or tabling it and requesting more information regarding the chronology and why it was allowed to go for so long.
Yeah, I mean,
Because
well-
if you get a bill for almost $10,000 and it's not almost immediately, and it seems like the fix is fairly simple. And I don't know how one toilet leaks 10,000 gallons. That's,
well, it can if it's just totally full out.
that would have to be
The valve
like a
completely wide open.
Niagara Falls type of situation. I don't know how
Over 3 months,
I don't know how you would miss that.
$1,000 a day. It's a couple gallons a minute. Not that much.
Not that much, you're right. What do you think, Molly? Would we gain any more insight if we ask for what exactly, like, was there some sort of?
Well, I mean, I would be happy to table it and ask, but I think we've also heard from the department that they do that and they do ask, and if people choose not to provide any information, it puts them in a weird and awkward position.
Yeah.
To be like, do you really want this? So I
No.
just.
Well, in this case, we're not talking about deferring. I mean, it's obviously a lot of money.
Right.
You're going to use your one-time thing. This is the time to do it. It's not like one of those where it's like.
No, right.
It's a lot of money.
Where
One
do you
thing,
see, I didn't see on this where it talked like, it said it was a multi-unit.
On the application itself, let's check the unit. Oops.
Oh, okay. So it was just a check. It wasn't
Yeah.
interesting that wasn't mentioned. Although again, for the amount of use.
Well, that water is. I mean, of course,
Okay,
the baseline's pretty high too on this. It's
right.
the bills are pretty high normally.
Yeah, usually 68,000 gallons a
but,
quarter.
Yeah, one of these bills is $2,000, and the next one is $7,500. So.
Well, like I said, I wouldn't necessarily
Well,
mind asking for more information. I'm just not sure what the more information would get us towards making a different decision. I don't, there was a leak.
Yeah.
He didn't know about it. Presumably it was a tenant.
Yeah.
Um,
But I can get.
he let it go longer maybe than he should have, but again, I would be inclined only to abate 50% on one
on
bill.
one bill, not both.
On one
bills.
bill,
I would do the
and-
lower bill, which is the first one.
Right, so that would be
If you
sort
take
of,
care of it, then wouldn't even have a problem
Right.
with the second.
that would be somewhat
Yeah, I mean,
punishment enough, I guess.
I mean, if we're going to do anything, I would do a 50% abatement on the first bill,
The November bill.
whichever is the first bill. I don't know. There's 2 bills. One in August was, I would do the first bill because that's the one that if he had taken care of, he still would have done that one. But he didn't take care of it, so I got another one for $8,400. The August was $9,900. The next one was $8,400.
Right.
If he had gone in to take care of it, you wouldn't have to worry about the November bill.
So when it says total bill for November, that's November of 23. It just came out.
Yeah.
I think
You
it was
didn't,
October.
you didn't prepare it until October of 23.
Right.
And notified the
So he
the
pretty
owner
much,
on June of 23.
the owner pretty much ignored the first.
Exactly,
first
that's
bill.
fine, yeah. Well, he may have tried to do something then, but he didn't fix it. If he tried to do something then, and he says in his statement that he tried to fix it.
Well,
was
what's odd
unfair
is
to
that the
fix.
fix was only $141, so, yeah. Yeah, I guess he won't delay fixing things in the future.
Well, the grand total at first he had 135, then he changed it to 141.75.
Must have been-
Must have forgotten about tax.
Well, it was probably the fill bill.
Oh,
It
yeah,
seems like
the
the
part.
fix was fairly simple.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know, to me, yeah, at most I would do 50% on the first, which is still a lot of money. Not as much as he's asking.
Yeah, I mean, obviously something happened and it was beyond his control, so I don't mind it.
Well, but just the first one, not the second.
Exactly.
All right, I make a motion, we make a 50% abatement on the excess water and sewer for the August bill. And I have to add that up as to how much it is.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
So water would be $1,467.53. Sewer would be $2,572.91. That might be a new record.
It's a big one. I mean, and that's still just a small portion of what he's asking for. And I'm having trouble. There's so many buttons to click. I'm having trouble not missing some of it.
13, 14.
Write it
So
down.
$4,040.44.
All right, I'll check your math.
Check my math.
Yep, $4,040.44. Correct.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying of abating 50% of the August 23 bill.
Aye.
That's I.
So 3-0 vote. All right. That is all the abatements we have. Just want to really, Molly knows most of this because she gets the select board reports and was involved in the budgeting process. Just wanted to sort of update on the utility operations end of things. In 2021, there was a warrant article to upgrade the Webster Avenue pump station, which is back down below the golf course. Webster Ave is sort of tucked back in there. And it was like, it's a fair amount of money. And the because it, for a variety of reasons, COVID and just being available, contractors being available and other things, there was a delay in getting the project done. And so now we need another $800 and some odd thousand to finish the job. So that is on the warrant for this year. Station.
That's gonna be on the ballot.
It'll be on the ballot, 884,000. Yeah, so in FY '22, so in the fall of '21, so 2 years ago, we approved a $5.7 million upgrade to this facility. And it was offset by a roughly $1 million congressional direct spending grant. We also got some state ARPA funds and then about $300,000 in principal forgiveness. So all told, there was almost $3 million offset for that project. But
Is that included in the warrant article, or did they ask?
well, what we have to do is approve the warrant article as the full cost, and then we get those funds as revenue.
Okay,
So it offsets it as a revenue item.
but the public was aware of that when they voted for it?
Yes, yeah, it's all,
Can't remember.
that's always the way,
Long ago.
no,
Yeah. I was
but
here.
that's always the way it is. Like with the siphons, we approved the $7.7 million and then you start chipping away at it with whatever is getting thrown at it. So anyway, the upshot of it is that will be a warrant article this year to finish that job.
Why is it running out of, it sounds like the 5.1 million wasn't enough, I guess. Is that...
Right. It basically is what it comes down to. And I think a lot of it's time. Yeah. A lot of it was just time. We approved it because it needed to be done. Then between coming out of COVID and just other things going on, it didn't get done right away. Through nobody's fault. It was just contractor availability.
And then increase in materials.
Increase in materials.
4 years worth of inflation.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly.
Okay. And they have started.
Yes. Yep. It is, the project is, effectively complete, but there's some equipment that needs to be added inside. If you go down, the facility is relatively new. But, it needs some final work to be done. And then the other item operationally is that we have reviewed the rate structure at our last meeting. Select board appreciated our input, and they approved the rates as the contract, or as the consultant recommended, and as we reviewed, including the fire flow adjustment that we talked about. And then the select board did approve. Well, I guess you approved the concept because you haven't approved the budget yet. So
That's
that
right.
might still be sort of out there in the ether. But right now, the proposal is for $100,000 to be put on the general fund. And it will be a new separate line item specific unto itself so that we can track it in the future. So it'll be taken out of the fire department budget and made as a miscellaneous separate, fire hydrant assessment fee, fire suppression. So those two items were agreed to. And then the financial reports you saw that were sent out late in October. We have almost $1 million in fund balance on the water fund, which is pretty good for that fund. And then on the sewer fund, we had our sort of a standard fund balance of $4.6 million in anticipation of a $3.9 million bond payment on the wastewater plant. And then we adjusted that for the siphon project that we looked at. So after the siphons, we'll have $2.6 million left in that account.
Speaking of siphons, do you have any kind of update? Do you have any kind of update?
They're working on it. They're working on the second barrel now.
Okay.
I think that's the update. The first barrel is in. The first barrel is in, and the money has been approved. So now they're working on the second barrel. That's the only real update I have.
Estimated completion date is
I think it's what,
spring?
March or April.
Spring of
Do
24?
you know? I mean,
I'm not even gonna say a word.
yeah, exactly.
I have no idea.
Exactly. There's no sense in guessing at this point.
But you're in the ballpark of what we estimate.
Yes. So no new business. Other business, I wanted to just, again, it's only Carl, so sort of deaf ears here, but I'll write it in the minutes. Two items on the water and sewer budgets. The water budget was approved with a slight decrease from what the request was by the department, but it would be about so the water the original request was about 10%, 10.4% over the 23 budget. The budget committee reviewed it and was actually able to reduce that by about $300,000. So it's more like 9.3%. But a lot of that is labor, because if you may have read, the town made a concerted effort this year to adjust some salaries and all that, you know, in the interest of employee retention and as actually recruitment as well, because there are seven spots unfilled in the DPW, which is starting to impact operations a little bit. So there was a significant bump, like 4.5% of the budget increases this year, or roughly half, were due to wage adjustments. So the water budget is about 4.9, almost $5 million, up from about $4.5 million last year. And then the sewer budget is actually pretty flat. That only went up $19,000 on a $7.5 million budget. We were able to reduce some capital outlay items and all of that. And I guess most importantly is the
what's the labor split on those two, the water and the sewer? How do they do the payroll for the employees? Does it all come from water or something? Sewer?
Most of the department, the functions are separate. There's general public works, which is highway, solid waste, things like that, mostly highway oriented. But obviously the administration, there's an offset. It's basically, I think, a 25% offset on the general fund, which gets billed, if you will, to the water and sewer department, like the public works director, right, and people like that who are wearing a number of hats, including water and sewer. There's an offset to their salary, to the water and sewer departments.
So the ratepayers actually pay for some of their
pay for some of the administrative folks. Most of the field people are, if they work for the water department, they work for the water department. That's not to say that if we get a huge snowstorm, maybe some of them are called out to help with plowing, sure, but that's not, that's not the norm.
You mentioned the labor being a good portion of the increase in the water department. And there was a very little increase in the sewer department this winter, so there's very little labor got allocated.
With the sewer department, remember, we have a declining, we have that $4.5 million or dollar, or if it's a $55 million note,
right,
which goes down about $500,000 or $300,000 to $400,000 every year,
right,
with the interest payment. So we're saving money every year on the sewer budget down, so because that's going down.
The fact that it doesn't go down means
a lot. And capital outlay and chemical costs are continuing to go up, right? But by virtue of the fact that our debt has gone down, helps that. And the other item is we are upgrading. The select board approved a $600,000 upgrade to the septic pumping's portion of the plant, but that's going to be offset by revenues. We should be able to pay that off in about 2.5 to 3 years with what we get for revenues. So we thought that was a good investment. It's going to be, there'll be like a credit, they can come in with a key card and all of that. So that doesn't have to be somebody actually sitting there watching it all the time. And there will be a much more state-of-the-art facility. So that was a good add to the facility. And then the other thing is on the warrant this year was originally suggested to put a design in place for a new surface water plant. The Portsmouth Ave plant is obviously really old, needs to be upgraded. Budget committee looked at that very hard, talked with the consultant, and we agreed that it was a little premature to do a design. There's still a lot of unanswered questions on how big the plant should be and where the location is. Absolutely. So what was recommended is that we do 2 years of approximately $250,000 in spending, so a $500,000 total, to sort of harden up the design criteria before we get to the preliminary design. So those are going to be the two major changes on the budget part.
I remember the projects. I remember it several months back now. I don't know whether it was this committee or they delivered a proposal to do some improvement on the capturing of rainwater and keeping it out of the sewer. Some of the areas. Some specific areas. and it involves some cooperation from the residents.
Yes.
What's the status of that project?
Well, what that is, it's called infiltration and inflow, or I&I in the industry. And inflow is where, like a manhole might be submerged and it gets flooded. And so the water from the rain gets through the manhole and into the sewer system. Infiltration is when the pipes in the ground are leaky and the water comes in from below, from the groundwater. In both cases, it needs to be fixed. We did the JD Hill project 5 or 6 years ago, and that took out about 70 or 80,000 gallons a day of rainwater. We're in the process of doing the West Side Drive project, which will be probably not that much, but probably on the order of 40 or 50,000. So we've been chipping away at the bigger, the low-hanging fruit, as it were.
On the West Side.
Yeah,
and it is moving forward.
right. That was voted on last year, and it's in design right now. So we're continuing to do projects to upgrade the sewer systems and the sewer pipes, manholes, and all of that, almost like probably every other year. What I think what you're talking about is on the Salem Street project over by Park Street Common and back in through there. When we do projects like that, and if somebody has a sump pump that takes their maybe groundwater or stuff in their basement, that's supposed to go to the drain and not to the sewer.
Right.
Whereas, it's an old town, so there are some sump pumps that go directly to the local sewer. So when they're redoing the sewer system in these various areas, is the town, provides a financial incentive. The pipes coming out of the house, and instead of it going to the drain, the contractor will change it from the sewer to the drain and do most of that work. The homeowner's on the hook for some part of it, but not most of it.
Right. It seemed like there was something.
So that's an ongoing effort.
Something like a 5-year payout or something like that.
Yes, exactly. It's
for assessing.
It's good terms, and it takes the unneeded water out of the sewer system. Yeah, so that's an ongoing thing. So as far as our calendar goes, I had told our IT guy, Bob Glowacki, wanted to try to standardize the schedule. So he reached out to me and said, do you guys still meet every other month? I said, more realistically, it's every quarter. And so they sort of set some dates that we would meet in 2024. I've already found that two of the dates I'm not going to be here. They had set March 6th, March 6th, July 5th, I'm sorry, June 5th, September 4th, and December 4th as our 4 meetings next year. I am not going to be here for the first 2, so I will probably be reaching out and pushing those to a different date. And I'll reach out to the committee in February and which day, what works for everybody.
Okay.
I think there was another committee that wanted to meet or already met that second Wednesday of the month, and so they pushed us to the first Wednesday of the month, which is fine. But I'm not going to be here for the first 2, so we'll have to adjust those.
No, I do have travel planned late March,
so don't push it too far.
The 20th.
Would you be here on the 13th?
The 13th. I believe I can do.
Okay, so I'll look into that, and then the same thing on June. I'll see if I can push it to the June.
I am not available on the 13th.
Okay.
I'm out of town for work.
And you're out of town starting the 20th?
I'm out of town. I'm back on the 20th. I'll be back on the 25th. So
okay, so you'll be gone for that.
Starting on the 15th.
Okay, so you'll be gone for that week. Well, we'll work something out. I mean, in worst case, we push it into April.
And I'm also not available on the 27th.
Okay, so we'll push it into April.
Be annoying.
Of course.
Okay. Well, we'll work on those. Okay, so that's all we have. Thank you for coming out.
Motion to adjourn.
So I will second that. All those in favor signify by saying aye, and we'll meet sometime in the mid to late spring of 2024. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you for tuning in to
Sure.
Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.